Do you remember the magic of walking into a Toys R Us? The towering aisles, the endless sea of toys, the catchy jingle, and of course Geoffrey the giraffe. For generations, Toys R Us wasn't just a store. It was a wonderland, a place where childhood dreams came to life. But how did this beloved giant, a staple of so many of our childhoods, fall from grace? Today, we're unwrapping the incredible story of the rise and tragic fall of Toys R Us. Our story begins not with a toy empire, but with baby furniture. In 1948, a 25-year-old named Charles Lazarus noticed a big trend, the post-World War II baby boom. All those new babies needed cribs, strollers, and high chairs. So he opened a store in Washington, D.C. called Children's Bargain Town. Lazarus was smart. He realized that while parents bought a crib once, they bought toys over and over again. He started adding a few toys to his inventory, and soon they were outselling the furniture. He saw the future, and it was filled with play. In 1957, Lazarus took a leap of faith. He opened the first dedicated, large-format toy store, modeled after the supermarkets that were popping up everywhere. He called it Toys R Us, with that iconic backward R to look like a child wrote it. This was a revolutionary idea. Instead of small, cramped toy shops, Toys R Us was a self-service paradise. Parents could grab a shopping cart and fill it to the brim. The selection was vast, stocking everything from the latest crazes to timeless classics. Throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Toys R Us grew into an unstoppable force. It became the definitive category killer in the toy industry. If a toy was a hit, you could bet it was flying off the shelves at Toys R Us. Think about it: Mr. Potato Head, Barbie's Dream House, G.I. Joe, Star Wars action figures, Cabbage Patch Kids, Nintendo Entertainment Systems. They had it all. The company perfected its business model: buy toys in massive quantities at a low cost, and sell them at prices that smaller, independent stores just couldn't match. The company's golden age was the 1980s and early 90s. The jingle, "I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid," became a cultural anthem. Geoffrey the giraffe was as recognizable to kids as Mickey Mouse. The company expanded internationally, opening stores across the globe. Going to Toys R Us for a birthday or before Christmas was a childhood rite of passage. The stores were vibrant, chaotic, and filled with joy. It felt like the party would never end. But behind the colorful facade, the world was changing, and the seeds of Toys R Us's downfall were already being planted. The first major threat came from big-box retailers like Walmart and Target. In the 1990s, these giants started expanding their own toy sections. They used toys as loss leaders, selling popular items at a very low price, sometimes even at a loss. Toys R Us couldn't compete on this strategy because toys were its entire business. Its main competitive advantage, price and selection, was starting to erode. Then came the internet. As the new millennium dawned, e-commerce was emerging as a powerful new way to shop. And at the forefront was a company that started by selling books online, Amazon. In 2000, Toys R Us, struggling to build its own online presence, made a fateful decision. It signed a 10-year exclusive partnership with Amazon. The deal seemed great on paper. Toys R Us would be the exclusive toy seller on Amazon, handling merchandising and inventory, while Amazon would handle the website, order fulfillment, and customer service. This deal would turn out to be a colossal strategic blunder. For one, it taught Amazon everything it needed to know about the toy business. Amazon got access to all of Toys R Us's sales data, learning which toys were popular and when. Even worse, Amazon began allowing other third-party toy sellers on its platform, violating the exclusivity agreement. Toys R Us sued and eventually won, but the damage was done. For a crucial decade, while e-commerce was exploding, Toys R Us had effectively outsourced its online brain to its biggest future competitor. When the partnership ended, Toys R Us was left in the dust, years behind in building a functional and competitive e-commerce site of its own. As if these external pressures weren't enough, the company made a financial move in 2005 that would seal its fate. A group of private equity firms, including KKR and Bain Capital, bought Toys R Us in what's known as a leveraged buyout. This deal loaded the company with an astronomical amount of debt, over $6 billion. From that point on, a huge chunk of the company's profits didn't go toward innovating. The stores, once magical wonderlands, started to look tired and neglected. They were often messy, understaffed, and uninspiring. Meanwhile, competitors were creating engaging in-store experiences. The Apple Store made tech feel sleek and hands-on. Lego stores became interactive play zones. Target made shopping feel trendy and clean. By comparison, walking into a Toys R Us in the 2010s could feel like stepping back in time. And not in a good way. The magic was fading. The debt was a crushing weight. The company was in a vicious cycle. It couldn't afford to invest to compete with Amazon and Walmart, which caused sales to drop, which made it even harder to pay off its debt. The final blow came in 2017. Facing hundreds of millions of dollars in debt payments it couldn't make, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The initial plan was to restructure and keep some stores open. But a disastrous holiday season proved that the company couldn't turn things around. In March 2018, the heartbreaking news became official. Toys R Us announced it would be liquidating its assets and closing all of its U.S. stores. The announcement sent a wave of nostalgia and sadness across the country. People flocked to the stores one last time, not just for the liquidation sales, but to say goodbye to a piece of their childhood. Photos of Geoffrey the giraffe waving goodbye in an empty store went viral, symbolizing the end of an era. For millions, it wasn't just a retailer closing. It felt like a part of childhood itself was being locked away forever. So what are the lessons from this retail tragedy? First, never underestimate your competition. Toys R Us dismissed Walmart and Target, and then it handed the keys to its online kingdom to Amazon. Second, you can't stand still. The company failed to adapt to the rise of e-commerce and the changing desires of shoppers who wanted more than just a warehouse of boxes. And third, debt can be a killer. The leverage bailout starved the company of the cash it needed to evolve and survive. But is the story completely over? Not quite. The brand is so powerful and beloved that it refuses to completely disappear. The name and intellectual property were bought by another company, and there have been attempts at a comeback. We've seen small pop-up shops inside Macy's department stores and a renewed online presence. It's a shadow of its former self, but it shows the enduring power of that brand. Will Geoffrey the giraffe ever preside over his own toy kingdom again? It's hard to say. The story of Toys R Us is a cautionary tale about the brutal, fast-paced world of modern retail. It shows that no company, no matter how big or beloved, is safe from disruption if it fails to innovate. But it's also a story about the power of memory and the magic of childhood. Even though the big box stores are gone, the brand lives on in the hearts of every Toys R Us kid. What are your favorite memories of Toys R Us? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories about the brands that shaped our world. See you next time.